Launch the engine editor, then browse to your preferred location to start the project. I choose usually the G drive. Select the folder, then choose a name for your gem. Click create folder, you will see the green check. To change project setting, click to project menu, then project setting, a dialog will pop up. In general, click to search, then type window. After that, display window. Here you can change all settings. You can change the window width to 700 and keep the height 600. You scroll down to the mode, choose 2D, and then keep, close, and save. Now let's create our first root node. Click to other node, and pop-up will come. Search for area 2D, then click it, create. Now let's rename it to player. Then add child nodes, search for animated sprite, search, okay, sorry for the mistake, animated sprite, create. Now in the right inspector, click to new sprite frame, click again, and another view will pop up. Now let's import the assets. Okay, you will find it in the description. Now let's import the walk animation. Let's rename this collection to walk. Let's add another collection, call it up. Now let's drag the corresponding assets. Okay, now we have these two assets. Let's also add a shape, search for collision shape 2D. Okay, you will find it there, create. In the right inspector, click to create new capsule shape 2D. Let's resize it to our preferred size for the object. Now for coding back, click in this button to add a new class for the scene. Choose the programming language and keep everything as default. Click create. Delete all unnecessary code and leave the first line. Now we want to write our first property of this player, the speed of the movement, and let's set it to 400. The second variable is screen size. In ready function, we initialize the screen size. As you can see in the inspector, you can change the default value of the speed and we get it back to the default 400. Okay, let's put it now 400. We will change it later. Now let's write our process function. This function is handling inputs and physics of the player object. We initialize the velocity, its 2D vector, and then check if the user input and click to write button. If that, we increase the velocity in X direction by 1. And all input follow the same logic but different direction. At the bottom of this function, we check the speed of the velocity if changed, yes, and then we normalize it with our property, the speed before we wrote it at the beginning. If the velocity changed, we play the animation of the sprite animated, we put it at the first. If not, we stop the animation. Now let's run our application, our game. You can see it changing when we do right button. Okay, now let's try to change the position of the object. We will write position, its global variable, and add it to the previous frame velocity multiplied by delta to the previous position. Now we define the position.x, that's x-axis. We will be using clamp. We will define the destination x, position.x. Second, the zero speed will go from 1 or 400 to 0, and the maximum position x. Also, we will define the position.y, the y-axis. We will initialize. We want to go to the position.y. The speed will be 0. Okay, sorry for the mistake. It is syntax mistake. We will try to save it, or we will have to stop the game and run it again. Now you can see it's moving on all directions. And now we try to change the animation style for each movement. If the movement was in x-axis, we will choose the animation, the walk animation. So, and we will choose the flip. For vertical flip, it's false, and for horizontal flip, we check if it's going to the right side or the left side. So that's a condition. And if the movement was in the y direction, okay, the change was in the direction, we choose the animated sprite dot animation. It will be the up, okay, and the flip direction in the vertical, it will be to this condition. We have to write condition if it's going up or down, or for before it was going to the right or the left. Now let's delete the previous code. Okay, let's run it. Okay, as you can see, when it's go to the right, it changed the direction of the eye. Finally, we want to change the first position of the player. We put it in the center, and let's play it again. Now it started with the centered player. Okay, now first part of our game is done. Thank you for watching. See you next time.